Now, let me bring up this point, because this is one of the hardest points that I have to bring up, and I want to hear from you what you think.
I was slowing down.
Well, there's a difference between slowing down and stopping completely in the road.
Oh, you need to slow down.
I was in the car with you, and I was like, we are really slowing down right now. Now we're doing space separately?
Yeah, well, because this one needed it.
Oh, okay.
Because otherwise there's like a whole lot of 10s and you think like, oh, this is a great car.
Yeah.
Which it is, but not if you want a back seat.
Well, it's sort of the theme of this review.
So every once in a while on the channel, we get one of those cars that we like it more than it maybe deserves to be liked. And for me personally, and not so much for Megan, although we'll get to her in a second, for me personally, the Acura TLX Type S represents just one of those cars. It is flawed. Very flawed in some ways. In fact, well, deeply flawed in some ways, if we're being honest. But I just can't help but kind of love it. And it's hard to articulate why. I'm gonna try going back and forth with Megan in this review. We're having to film this separately. It's been a pretty chaotic week, but she's gonna chime in a second. But stay tuned, because I really love this car, despite its very noticeable and sometimes hard to ignore flaws. All right, clearly one of the absolute best aspects of the Acura TLX Type S is the styling. I really, really like the way that this thing looks, and I'll show you a lot of it in B-roll. I love the lights. I love these amazing 20-inch sort of bronze wheels. I think the Acura TLX Type S is the best looking Acura currently on sale today. And if you count the NSX out completely, both the old and the new one, I think the Acura TLX Type S is one of the better looking Acura designs of all time. In this class of vehicle, it is striking, it is unique, and it comes in some unique colors. This gray color with this sort of metallic baked in, it's gonna be very hard for me to sort of translate that on camera, but this is a phenomenal color combo with the gray and the bronze on the outside and the red interior. There is absolutely nothing to dislike about this color combo. Last time I had it, go check that video out, I had it in the extremely unique Tiger Eye Pearl color. Now, I don't usually get too into colors. I usually, on this channel, we just sort of say it's red, it's blue, it's gray, it's black, whatever. But that Tiger Eye Pearl is one of the most unique colors that was on the road. And when I had that car, people were constantly asking me about it. It had just come out, so they were asking me what it was, they were asking me about the color, and then it had this sort of white, the Acura calls it orchid, interior. This one, even better looking. The gray with the bronze wheels, I mean, this is a spectacularly cool looking car. Weirdly, I would say that the regular Acura TLX is kind of normal, boring, dull even, but this version, the Type S with all of its sort of like flair, I guess, for the dramatic, it just looks so good. Even the fact that it has the subtle black accents and the black around the mirrors, and now in 2024, it's got that kind of frameless grille design. It just gets better as it ages. And you can't say that about some designs. I'm not gonna name names, BMW, but you can't say that about some designs, BMW. Some of them look horrific now, BMW, and they're going to age like a rotting potato, BMW. But let's not get bogged down in that. Let's just focus on how fantastic the Acura TLX Type S looks. So right off the bat, from the beginning of this review, we're in good territory, because I cannot get over how awesome this thing is. And I just love the way it looks so much when it pulled in the driveway. I was like, yes, TLX Type S again this week. But there are some kind of hard to ignore flaws coming.
Okay, so this is the Acura TLX.
Yes.
Is that right? Type S. And let's talk about the outside. First of all, I think she's a beautiful car.
Yeah.
Yeah?
She's
I
good
love
looking.
the tires in this like gold or bronze or whatever this is.
Yeah,
looks
the bronze.
so cool.
Yeah.
And I don't mind the gray color. I think I kind of like the gray color.
Especially
with
with
the
the red
bronze and the
interior.
red accents and the
Yeah.
red interior. Like, I think it looks really cool. The grill is really cool. It's like a starburst or something, like a sunburst.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that. It looks really cool. I just love like all the clean lines and like it looks like a really sporty sedan. I mean, it looks like a sedan, but it looks like a sporty sedan.
I think that's what it's going
Is
for.
that what it's? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what it looks like. You want to look at the back?
Well, it was just if you just walked away, so I was assuming we're following you.
Yeah, I actually like the back. I'm not a huge fan of like a spoiler normally, but like I think this is very tastefully done. This little black.
Tasteful.
Yeah. It's got little tasteful black accents and it looks sporty. I like the lines. I love it.
Oh, okay.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the way this car looks, for sure.
You actually know how to open the trunk because you've been doing it.
I do. You want me to show you?
Wow.
And it goes all the way up by itself.
Well, it's not powered.
It's not power, but I mean, it's like hydraulics. I had like hydraulics.
I think it just
Um,
is springs. I don't think they went to the trouble of hydraulics.
Well, yeah, you have to close it yourself
Yeah.
for sure, but at least it goes up all the way. This is pretty. That's kind of a lot of room.
It's
Like, it goes pretty deep.
13 and a half. Yeah, 13
Is that
and a
good
half.
for this class?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
Better than the passenger.
I mean, we had a bunch of stuff in there yesterday. We went grocery shopping.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely a useful. The trunk has more space than the back
Than the
seat.
car.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe that's where it went,
Yeah, they gave you a generous amount of trunk space.
and not
for
much
for people that can't
back
fit
seat
inside
space.
of it.
Yeah.
Now, one of these flaws is here under the hood, and you might be saying, wait a minute, hold up. How could the Type S, of all things, have a flaw under the hood, right? This has a turbocharged V6 engine. It's a 3-liter turbo V6 making 355 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque, and it's running through a 10-speed automatic, and it's hitting the ground via Acura's excellent super handling all-wheel drive. So, wait a second, what could be wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome, right? Yeah, it feels great, okay? The powertrain is good. And as we see when we get to the driving portion, I enjoy it. I've got a few complaints I'm gonna point out, but that's not the issue here. The issue is fuel economy. And I'm not saying that because I expect a sports sedan to get phenomenal fuel economy. That's not the issue. The Type S actually gets kind of poor fuel economy, if we're being honest here. In how poor? Well, we're barely averaging about 20 to 21 miles per gallon. Now that doesn't sound awful, really, but when you factor in that we did a fair amount of highway driving while I had this thing, so we had this thing for a week and I spent the first part of the week driving it back and forth to work, so day-to-day suburban driving. You don't expect the fuel economy to be great there. I thought, well, 2021 would be about right. But it doesn't get a lot better on the highway, to be honest with you. We had a volleyball tournament all weekend in Atlanta, so we were carting Hallie back and forth from our house in the suburbs to Atlanta and mostly highway driving. And this thing barely touches like 22 or 23 in real world driving, because when we got to Atlanta, we got stuck in stop and go traffic and immediately that fuel economy plummets. So I'm not saying it's the be all end all, and it certainly wouldn't be a deal breaker for me. But when I can get in my similarly powerful V8 Corvette and get massively better fuel economy, that seems dumb, considering this is a sports sedan with a turbo 6. And that's an old 2002 C5 Corvette with a giant V8, and it gets way better fuel economy than this. So that is probably the biggest downside of the powertrain. We'll get into a few smaller ones when we drive it, but I just wanted to point that out because it seems like, and this is, guys, this is even like staying out of the boost, just kind of driving normally. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. If fuel economy is important to you, you won't find it here. Again, I love this car. That wouldn't dissuade me in the slightest. But there are a few other things. There's one in particular, one in particular that we need to address.
So we're in the Acura TLX Type S. This is not the kind of car I would normally drive, right? I'm not the demographic, I don't think. It's like a sportier sedan.
Sports sedan.
It's a sports sedan. It
Stopping
is.
at this green light.
I was slowing down.
There's a
Because I
difference
have to
between
turn
slowing
left.
down and stopping completely in the road.
Oh, you need to slow down.
I was in the car with you, and I was like, we are really slowing down right now.
He's just a funny guy. He's not. So this is actually the first time I've driven this car because
Quite literally.
Yeah, you drove it all week. We had another truck and I drove that all week, so this is my first time driving this car. I rode in it a lot as a passenger, and passenger-wise, not my favorite car. We'll get into that, I'm sure, later, right?
Well, hopefully.
So, what does that mean? If I don't stop
So
seizing?
it's going to be a very good review if we don't get it
Oh,
done.
got it. So we'll get into that later. Driving wise, this seat I think is actually more comfortable than that seat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you probably...
Shouldn't they be the same?
Yeah, but you haven't customized this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't like the side bolsters.
Yeah,
Those
those
too
can
much
be
for me.
loosened. Yeah.
Yeah. This seat feels very comfortable. I fit nicely in this car. It's got a ton of space for the driver. This car really cares about the driver, doesn't care about anybody else in the car.
Well, the passenger seat.
The passenger seat, well, I told you I didn't like it because the bolsters, but you didn't tell me I could loosen
You can
that.
adjust that, so
Yeah.
ignore
So,
it.
so the front people have plenty of space. All the like technology, like I like the push button gear shifts,
Transmission, gear selectors.
I like that.
One of
The heads
these
up
days
display
we'll
is
get that.
nice, or maybe not. I love the way the interior looks. I love the red and the black. It drives pretty well. Like I said, this is the first time I've driven it, so I don't have a whole lot of experience, but so far so good. The brake feels good to me. The gas feels good to me. Like it's not really like jerky or anything. I like it. It's pretty smooth ride. Do you think it's a smooth ride?
Yeah, I think in regular mode like this is very comfortable.
Oh, does this have sports mode?
And it does.
Where is it? Can I do it?
The big dial on the dash.
Big dial on the dash. Ooh, that says dynamic mode.
Yeah.
Do I press it?
No, you turn it.
You turn
It's a
it.
dial, I said. The word
Well-
dial would indicate turning something.
You know what? I'm about to turn you off. Do I turn right or left?
Right, for sports.
And right now. Like while I'm driving, I can do it?
Yeah, if you want.
If I want, of course I do. Whoa! Oh! Oh, do you show them that thing?
Well,
That lights up. This lights up. Everything's red and fiery. You know, I love a good red fire situation. Now, what difference am I supposed to feel? Can I go faster
it
in
just
sport
makes
mode?
everything a little more aggressive. The suspension tightens up. Feels
Oh, like I can feel the bumps?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can definitely feel the bumps a little bit more. But like that's what you want when it's in sport mode?
Yeah, it's firmer.
Like, so you feel
more
one with the road?
responsive. Yeah.
Well, I definitely feel one with the road. I love the steering wheel. This is a good steering
Yeah,
wheel.
I actually really like the
Yeah,
Acura steering
it's really fat, and I like the little bumpy parts over here. I like that, and I like the flat bottom.
wheel. Yeah.
There was another car we had that had kind of this flat bottom. I like that a lot.
Well, it was a Nissan Sentra.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little different. Not a sports
You know,
van.
not a sports name. But this one is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess right there the braking's a little jerky. I don't know.
It's firm.
A little tight, a little firm. So probably not my fave, but I do love a good sport mode. Let's see if I can. Ooh.
See?
Oh, look at the baby goats over there. Whoa! All right. Yeah, that's pretty good. And it's like real smooth. Like it accelerates.
Yeah.
You don't have like a, like a jerky accelerating thing.
No, it's a good engine.
Going on.
It's about the same
Yeah.
amount of horsepower as my
Yeah.
Corvette.
Like this would be a fun car. I would literally drive this car if I was just like a single gal. No ball and chain. No kids.
ball and chain.
Yeah.
To make videos.
Yeah. And just wanted like a sporty, fun car to drive around town. So maybe in the future.
Maybe it's winning you over.
Did you hear what I said?
Oh, in the future.
Get it when I don't have a ball and
Well,
chain?
then you wouldn't be in videos anymore.
Yeah, that won't matter. I'll still be able to drive it. No, I'll be in videos. I'll just take
then
over the
wouldn't
channel.
get- Who do you think gets all the free cars?
I'll just take over the channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it'll
you
be all
already
mine.
say it's your channel.
Huh, it is. Is that good on the interior? Any other questions?
Oh yeah, one thing that I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge, because I'm giving you all these pros and why I like the TLX Type S so freaking much, despite its flaws. One big pro that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about, or maybe they just don't talk about it enough, is the fact that this is a pretty phenomenal sounding turbo V6. Those aren't words that you usually hear very often. Usually you hear people say, that's an amazing V12. That's a phenomenal V10. That's a fantastic sounding V8. But you don't often hear that's a fantastic turbo V6. But weirdly, the TLX Type S sort of is a fantastic sounding turbo V6. Take a listen to what it sounds like in Sport Plus mode when you kind of fully let it off the chain.
Exhaust note right here.
Oh, jeez.
That's so satisfying.
Right? Didn't see that one coming, did you? That's not bad. That's not bad at all. All right, we're gonna go down the handling road. We're gonna go into dynamic mode. I'll talk a little bit more about the handling in the regular driving portion, but I'm gonna go ahead and go into full-on Sport Plus mode.
Oh, you didn't tell me there was
we're
more.
in maximum attack right now.
Why didn't I get to try it?
And let's see if that person's gonna actually yield. And then we'll go down this road and we'll see what it's like when you're kind of getting after it a little bit. You know, the TLX Type S on
This film is going to be terrible.
a very, well, just, you know, keep
I'm
it tight.
trying.
But I do think, one of the things that I think I said this actually in the other TLX Type S review that I did about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, is that I love a lot of things about this car. Really love a lot of things about this car. I almost think that in its maximum mode here, oh, they smoothed that out, they repaved it. It could be even more aggressive because this road is fairly well maintained and it's almost like too smooth. Like we went down this in the Integra Type S, and we have the Integra, and we've done it in the Civic Type R and stuff like that, and they were much firmer. Not that you'd want to drive around in this thing in a much firmer mode all the time, but it's so comfortable in regular mode. Comfort mode's too soft. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But like or maybe we already did, I don't know. But regular mode is so just easygoing and relaxed. It just is the perfect balance of like comfort and control. I really like it. And then in this mode, Sport Plus, you get the little G meter, you get your turbo boost gauge, and then the transmission holds gears and it's way more aggressive on downshift and like holding gears. And I feel like, oh, that person's coming awfully quick. And I feel like this thing could use a little bit more of that. One thing about this car, listen to that engine note. And that sounds so good. It sounds so good, that turbo V6. Like this is one of the best V6 engine notes that I've heard in a while. But when we go back in this direction, we're kind of going normal speed now before we get to the no neighborhoods and houses section. When we go this direction, there's more bumps in this direction. They're more intense. And since you're holding the camera, you always say, yeah, you try to hold the camera. You don't do a great job holding the camera.
Oh, rude.
And let's go down this bumpy part faster. They're a little ways ahead now.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And see, like, that is bumpy. That is, like, intense. And right here over that. But, like, it's still ironing it all out. It's still ironing the whole thing out as being almost not aggressive enough with the suspension. And, I mean, maybe that's your thing. And if that's your thing, great. Like, you could turn this thing into maximum attack mode. See, even there, going over that bigger dip in more intense cars, that's a punch. Like, that is a very aggressive dip. And in this, it still had that degree of comfort built into the suspension. So this is a fabulous car to drive fast, tons of fun. It's more than most people need. I do think we need more of that exhaust note right here.
Oh, jeez.
That's so satisfying. It's so satisfying, and it is genuinely quick.
You know what you're not going to be satisfied with is
the footage. Yeah,
yeah,
is how the
people
footage
are probably
looks.
getting car sick watching this.
Yeah, hopefully not.
I apologize.
And I'll throw some GoPro footage in so you guys can see kind of like a first-person view, or I already have. But it's a very satisfying car to drive quickly. Okay, I love this car, and I've probably said this numerous times already in the review. I love this car sort of irrationally. Let's go back into standard mode so you can, you know,
I love that screen with the car.
The Acura screen.
Cool.
Okay, I'll make sure I put some of that in
with the car driving. That looks cool.
in the video somewhere. If you haven't seen Acura's little animations in their digital gauge cluster, it is nice. And I do think I was reading a review about this car recently where they were like the Type S with the TLX in general is getting dated looking inside. Acura's been using this design for a while, but the materials and the driving position and the steering wheel, like you said, the steering wheel, I love the steering wheel. I love it so much. It doesn't succumb to that thing of being so tiny
like it's trying to do a race car steering wheel, and I feel like it just gives me, as a bigger person, like a little bit more accuracy. Like I feel like it's a larger wheel I'm turning, and like with greater precision. It's quick off center, it's got the flat bottom, so I've got plenty of room for my legs. Like I really like this steering wheel a lot. I love this driving position. I love these seats. This is, and this is sort of the theme of this review, is there's so many things about the TLX Type S that I love, and the drive is one of them. I mean, in regular mode right now, you can put it in regular mode and just chill, and it just smooths out. We went back and forth to Atlanta numerous times in regular mode, and it is serene and comfortable and well damped. Comfort mode, no, too floppy. Sport mode, I could live in sport mode. You probably would be a little tired of it.
Yeah.
But sport mode is fine as well. I just think in that Sport Plus, you need to lock in a little bit more of that intensity, right? It needs a little bit more firmness. There needs to be a noticeable step up, like you've gone into crazy town. Because, and maybe I can show this on the screen, it says you have to hold the dial to engage Sport Plus mode. Like, oh, it's serious now. Well, if it's gonna be that serious, I feel like there should be like a crazy town level of adjustment in the suspension. Here's these big bumps.
Oh, yeah.
But see how comfortable that is? Like that, you go over it, but it returns right back to normal.
I'm watching the screen, so I wasn't prepared.
Yeah,
Wasn't super
and then that bump
but
on the bridge, like that's one of the areas, like when a car is kind of underdamped and it like wallows around, you really notice it there, or in a sports car, it hits really firmly. I don't think in Sport Plus, it would be even that much worse. Now, one complaint I do have, and God, this review is so like Jekyll and Hyde, because that's how I feel about this car. I don't love the behavior of the 10-speed automatic sometimes. I feel like when I do this, you gotta really prod it before it'll kick down. If you're moving, it'll rely on the turbo to spool up and give you torque without downshifting, and that's annoying sometimes, but it's really annoying to me that it'll do that in sport mode. Like you could be in sport mode and it'll still do that from time to time, and I find that annoying. Now, what if you go into sport mode and then you want to do the paddle shift transmission, okay? So if I do it in full manual mode, let's see if it'll summon I'm gonna put the transmission in sport. And it'll upshift for you. Like, see, I downshifted, there we go to 4th gear. And the shifts just don't feel quite as crisp as some other automatics that are mimicking a manual transmission. So for example, the ZF 8-speed in the Toyota Supra does a fantastic job of mimicking like a paddle shift, like a dual clutch transmission. And this is just okay. So if you leave it in regular mode all the time, it's fine. It's in sport and it still says manual mode, but it'll upshift on its own if I just leave it like that. So yeah, it's worth having a little fun in, but even in Sport Plus mode, you're not getting that next level of intensity. And so that's kind of how I feel about this car in general. I really like it a lot. I really, really, really like it a lot. I like the driving experience. I like so many things about it, but I feel like there's these persistent flaws that just make me a little sad, because I want to be like madly in love with this car. Like for me, our family, our kids are older. I know that in the interior portion, we're going to talk about this and we're going to say it's not big enough, and it's not big enough, but I want to like this car so much. And see, I just downshifted to 3rd and it was like, no, you already have too many revs, and it just immediately kicked me back to 4th. And I'm like, come on, let's try again. Downshift. Yeah, and I want some lights or something too. So I don't know, take it for what it's worth. I really love so many things about the driving experience of this car. I just wish a few of these critical details were addressed, because if you had a more bonkers suspension mode in Sport Plus, the transmission was a little bit more responsive, just like 20% more responsive in day-to-day driving.
And a backseat.
And well, yeah, we're getting to that. We're inside right now. Then I think this thing would be a fantastic all-around car for your driveway. And as we've already said, it's freaking gorgeous.
Okay, when it comes to space inside of the Acura TLX Type S, I've got plenty of space, as you guys can see. In fact, the seat is actually motored back right now. I'm not going to turn it on because the engine noise would cause us a little bit of a problem. The seat is actually motored back, so you can see at almost 6'6", I have plenty of legroom. In fact, I can get in one of the most comfortable seating positions inside of this thing of most cars that I drive. I mean, this thing has a fantastic seating position for tall people. Tall people have tons of space in the front and not in the back. We'll get to that. Also, I love the steering wheel. I love the interior fitment and appointments, the way it looks, the overall design. Everything is fantastic. Now, let me say something. I'm going to admit something right here. I've always sort of defended the idea behind Acura's infotainment system because I've been like, it sort of makes sense in theory, right? You've got the screen kind of up high in your line of sight. But if you have a screen up high in your line of sight, you can't touch it. Mazda does this as well, and they provide you the sort of rotary control. Acura gives you this touchpad, and a lot of people have roasted the touchpad in the past. And I'm not gonna say they're wrong because the sort of quality of the inputs of the touchpad wasn't super good. Maybe they've tightened it up or refined it, or maybe I've just gotten used to it in Acura products. I kind of didn't mind it so much. In fact, I dare say it's sort of made a certain level of sense to me in this that it hasn't in the past. So I don't know if Acura sort of like improved it over time, but I definitely thought the touchpad usability was not as annoying as I remember. If you remember the old Lexus touchpads, those things were awful. They were terrible. The new Lexus infotainment system is fantastic now. I kind of think that this one's not bad. This one's kind of good now. There's something about it that kind of works. Now, in terms of options, you've got a lot of different options in this vehicle because the Type S is pretty much fully loaded. So you've got the absolutely fantastic ELS audio system, you've got heated and cooled seats, you've got all those kind of things, everything that you would expect in a vehicle like this, along with the 12-inch digital gauge cluster, 12-inch infotainment system, and leather everything in these excellent supportive seats. You can adjust the bottom cushion as well as the side bolsters as well as the lumbar, so greatly appreciated for people with scoliosis like me. One thing that I cannot abide by, that is inexcusable, it's absolutely absurd to me that this car has a surround view camera and you do not have a direct button for engaging the surround view camera. You don't have it here, you just have your park sensors. You don't have it here by the infotainment system. You don't have it here beneath the climate control, and you definitely don't have it anywhere by the transmission. Automakers, Acura, listen to me very carefully. If you have a surround view parking system and you are, for example, taking the car down to downtown Atlanta to park in an incredibly tight, small parking deck, you should be able to instantly access the surround view camera. That is inexcusably stupid. I love this car. I love so much about this car, but small decisions like that I find to be very irritating. Along with the not so small decision regarding backseat space.
So here we are in the interior of the TLX Type S Acura. I love the steering wheel. It's really like a good fat. I love the thick steering wheels. I like the like rough part here. Like it's kind of nice, kind of grippy. I like the flat. I love a good flat bottom like that. Is that like a sporty thing?
Yeah.
I love that. I love the silver pedals. I think they look really cool, like really sporty.
It's got like good accents.
Yeah, they look really sporty. I love the red and black interior. Like I would 100% get this car in this red and black interior. You've got a charging plate right here. This is like a little wrist plate to like, if you need to sit here and do the little joystick thing, right?
Yeah, touchpad.
Touchpad.
It's not a joystick.
Whatever, it is a joystick.
There are no joysticks.
I like the gear selector press. I like all I think the dynamic mode thing being here is great. The heads up display is great. It looks really nice in here. I like the
materials
carbon,
are solid in this.
Yeah, I like the carbon fiber accents. Like it's pretty nice. It fits the stand.
I don't think it's carbon fiber.
What?
It's like a
It's not carbon fiber, I get. Yeah, aluminum or something. It's got a decent little thing here with some plugs, some charging cords and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think the heads up display is pretty nice. Or not the heads up display, just like the display here. The gauge cluster is pretty nice. It has like the little picture of the car, and yeah, I have no complaints with the front seat. With the interior,
oh no.
It looks great. It looks super sporty. Wait till we get in the back. Let's just try it. Now keep in mind, this is where I would drive. And this is closer for whatever, we normally drive pretty much the same, but for whatever reason, this is definitely closer than you drive. So you drive even further back than this. Let's see what the back seat looks like.
Uh-oh.
Okay, this is me, like literally my foot is stuck, not fitting in the back seat. My feet don't fit, I guess I have big feet, I don't know. My feet don't fit, my knees don't fit, I cannot move them, like I can't physically make them not be like this. I do have a little cup holder, but because my leg is so far over, it makes the cup holder hard, harder to access. I mean, the seats are comfortable, like the seat itself. I like the suede accents, but I have no space. I am so crowded back here. I don't have much head space. I just hit my head on this a minute ago. This is so crowded. And you want to know the fun thing is I had to sit back here on the way home from Atlanta the other day, and it was awful. And he drives further back than this.
Well, I scooted up for you.
Yeah, barely, because you couldn't. I mean, you scooted
Yeah.
up as far as you could, and I could still just barely fit back here. It's very uncomfortable. So this is not a sedan that you want if you need 4 full-size people to be able to ride in the back. Now, did all 4 of our full-size people in our family fit back here?
Yes. With
Yes.
compromises.
But Ella complained the whole way.
Yeah.
My
she
knees
did.
hurt, my ankles hurt, I don't fit, it's not comfortable, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It was not, I
Big
would
compromises.
not recommend it. So if you have short people
Maybe.
or tiny people, maybe they
Or
can
just
fit.
2 people.
Or just 2 people is really for the
That's
best.
probably the way to go.
Yeah, this back seat is really lacking.
Now, to make this a totally fair comparison, I went ahead and started the car. So the seat is actually where I would have it. So if you look here, you can see it would actually scoot back even further, which means there'd be even less space here for human legs. So I'm not entirely sure what Acura thinks a human being is gonna do with this amount of space, but it is ridiculous how little space there is in the back seat of this sedan when you see it from the outside. Now, to be fair, if there is any fairness to be had in this discussion, a lot of the competition is not really super spacious in the back seat either. BMW, Mercedes, Audi, you look at Genesis, and even the Cadillac CT4, even the CT5, CT4. Why did I have so much trouble saying that? Why did I have so much trouble recalling CT5? I felt like my brain just stopped working for a second there. But none of them are incredibly spacious in the back seat. But this is pretty ridiculous, especially when you factor in that the Honda Accord, the previous gen and the current gen, were very spacious in the back seat. And the TLX, it's a front-wheel drive based chassis with super handling all-wheel drive, not that dissimilar from something like the Honda Accord, a Honda Acura product. Then you have this sedan, roughly the same approximate size as the Honda Accord, and there's no backseat space. So I'm not entirely sure if that is a factor of their sort of packaging with the all-wheel drive system, but it just seems kind of ridiculous to me that Megan could barely even pretend to sit behind the driver's seat, even when it was scooted up some for her driving position. And for me, at almost 6'6", it's not even a physical possibility, and this is not that small of a car. Okay, first things, can we just soak this in for a minute? Can we just soak it in? The sun peeking through the clouds behind me, illuminating the gray Acura TLX Type S with the bronze wheels. Can we just let it kind of wash over us for just a second, how good looking this car is and how awesome this color combo is? Okay, I just had to get that out of the way because I really do love the way that this thing looks. It's just such a cool looking sedan. Now, on to more sort of practical, summary driven stuff. Yes, this is a deeply flawed sedan, deeply flawed in some ways. In fact, and I'm trying to be nice, but I'm also gonna be a little bit mean here. This thing kind of fails at being a sedan for our family. It's just not possible. We are a tall family, and we did wedge 4 people into this thing to drive from the suburbs down to Atlanta, and it kind of sucked, okay? The trunk has big enough space to carry our things, but what the heck is the point when 4 people can't really fit in the vehicle? So that is a big strike against the TLX Type S. This is almost more of a coupe-sized luxury vehicle that just happens to have easier access to the back seat. That being said, would that necessarily dissuade me from the TLX Type S? Not necessarily. Now, let me bring up this point because this is one of the hardest points that I have to bring up, and I want to hear from you what you think. So I recently had the Acura Integra Type S, and now I've had the Acura TLX Type S, and there are things that I love about both of those cars. I said the Integra might be one of the best daily drivers that you can buy. The manual transmission is maybe the best manual transmission on the market. It's huge fun, it's a riot to drive, and you can get in it and get practical daily usability and 30 miles to the gallon. The TLX Type S does feel more special. It really does. It feels more special than the Integra Type S. Now, it should add another $20,000 on top of the price, but I mean it feels more like an Acura, whereas the Integra Type S feels like a Type R that got some nice bits inside. So I want to know from you, What do you think? And if you ask me, this is a hard one, if you ask me which one that I would rather daily drive, from a comfort and convenience standpoint, sitting only in the front seat and nothing else, the TLX Type S makes a strong case for itself. But if I'm looking at my enthusiast kind of inclinations and my enthusiast dad responsibilities, I think I'd probably pocket the extra money and drive the Integra Type S. That car is just so well-rounded, complete, and fun and amazing. Not to say that this TLX Type S isn't a good car for 62 grand, but the compromises versus the Integra Type S would probably make me lean towards the Integra, because weirdly, our family actually sort of fits in that better with even more cargo space under the hatch and a more engaging drive with the manual. So that's kind of what I think. You let me know what you think in the comments.
Okay, so overall, for my thoughts on the Acura TLX Type S, exterior, 10 out of 10. I love the way this car looks. It looks great. It looks like a sporty sedan. I love the gold, bronze, whatever accents. Interior looks, 10 out of 10. I mean,
wow.
the leather, I think it looks so cool.
Double
It looks
tens.
it looks like a sports car. Like, it looks like how a sporty sedan should look. So if you wanted a sports sedan, this is what you want it to look like. It looks awesome. The leather feels awesome. The steering wheel's great. All that stuff's great. Driving,
You didn't get a lot of time.
I didn't get a ton of time in it. I mean, in the few minutes I had in it, like 8 out of 10. Like, it was good. It was fine. I enjoyed it. The sport mode was fun. It goes pretty fast. It's pretty intuitive. I liked it. So I'll go 8 out of 10. Space-wise, space for the driver and the passenger, 10 out of 10. It's perfectly fine. Space for your backseat people, well, what space? So I'm going like a 2 out of 10.
Yeah. Fair.
And trunk, you have some space in the trunk.
Yeah.
But like overall space, I'm probably gonna go like a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
I mean, the back
Have we
seat
done
is
space separately?
fairly unusable. What?
Now we're doing space separately.
Yeah, well, because this one needed it.
Oh, okay. This
Because
one
otherwise there's like a whole lot of 10s and you think like, oh, this is a great car.
Yeah.
Which it is, but not if you want a back seat.
Well, it's sort of the theme of this review.
Yeah,
This is
the
an
theme of this
awesome
review
car,
is this is a great car
but
unless you need a back
compromised.
seat. Yes, if you do not need a back seat, it's a great car. If you need a back seat, I would,
What about value?
how much does it cost?
62, like
Okay,
this.
I thought it was going to be more than that. So I
Okay.
think that's a pretty good value.
All right.
I mean, Acura's a good car.
Yeah.
It looks great. It looks like a $62,000 car for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd say value-wise, yeah, it's good. Except, you know, you're paying $62,000 for no back seat.
Well, yes, there's
So there's that. So
so
maybe
maybe a few
value will
points.
knock it down a little bit. Yeah.
7 out of 10.
Like a 7 out of 10. Yeah. Just due to the lack of back seat. Overall, I'll probably go an 8 out of 10. Like, it's a pretty great car. It looks great. It drives well. The interior, looks-wise, is beautiful. It's just lacking in some spatial areas. So we'll go
Spatial awareness.
spatial awareness. Yeah, the car does not have much spatial awareness. So we'll go 8 out of 10. It's definitely worth looking at if you're in the market for a sporty sedan with no usable backseat.
Well, put it bluntly.
So that's the Megan moment. If you would like to come back for more, like, subscribe, ring the bell. Thanks for watching.
Yay.
Yay.
Like motorcycles driving out. Motorcycle sounds terrible too, bro. Gross.
Oh, there's a car in front of
Well,
you.
a person in front of us is braking for nothing on the straightaway.
And they were going fast before.
The straightaway, I know, right? When they came after us, they were going fast.